you, man. I was in Nirvana. You asshole.
Rarely in the history of rock has an artist switched musical instruments and switched bands simultaneously with such a degree of success as Dave Grohl. 2005 marks a big year for Dave and his Foo Fighters. Not only are they celebrating the 10-year anniversary of their debut, they're releasing the mammoth double album, In Your Honor. It's their 5th studio album in 10 years, and add to that a countless number of appearances on other people's projects, and Dave Grohl has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt there is life beyond Nirvana. Welcome to the north of LA, and welcome to the story of the Foo Fighters. A lot of memories on the wall out there.
I know, did you see that?
But it's about creating new ones, I imagine.
Well, you know, I've never had a place to put those things. We had them in the studio in Virginia, some of them on the wall down there. I kind of like to have them on the walls while we're making records, just kind of as perspective, but also because I feel like I like to keep the heat on, you know what I mean? Like when I look at those things, I think I got to do something better than I did last time. And so I like to have those things around. But I've never had a place really to, not like that, never had a place to line them up.
10 years for you.
Yeah.
Did you have any idea it was going to go this long?
No. But I don't think anybody in a band would, you know, you start a band, you do your first record, and you're not looking 10 years into the future. It's just, it just is so, you know, it's just something you can't make plans about.
When we started out, the whole thing was such a surprise that we became a band in the first place with the first album. And then the second album, we really tried to establish ourselves and get into the groove of being like a working band, you know. And there's so much bullshit that goes on outside of the music, you know. And you're sort of immersed in that kind of thing for years and years until you finally realize, like, wow, you know, the thing that kept us here so long and the reason why we're still here is because we've always had this intense love of music and each other. And eventually all the extraneous crap just kind of falls away and you really start to get into just making music. Because you can do that for the rest of your life. Like, you don't need the circus to do that. So you start to get really focused on the music. And I think as we're kind of growing up, we're realizing that that's the key to another 10 years. Is it's just music, and you're just making music. I guess if anything's changed, it's just the passion to play music has become bigger.
We like punk rock more than any other style of music, so, yeah, we're punk rock.
Well, I think everybody was sort of into punk rock before the band really evolved anyway. Everyone was bred on the punk thing.
Punk rock should mean freedom, liking and accepting anything that you like, playing whatever you want, as sloppy as you want, as long as it's good and it has passion.
We were just three sort of normal people, relatively normal, I suppose, who just play in a band. I think the three of us still think it's pretty strange that people find us, you know, special.
It was just because I didn't want to just go play drums in another band. And I play guitar, and I'd written a bunch of these songs, so I thought that it would be fun just to try that.
This is, in the true sense of the word, a solo record. Your vocals, your guitar playing, your drumming.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to do it that way?
It was just sort of for fun because the studio was right down the street from my house. I was just really bored and I didn't have anything to do, so I thought I'd take all of my favorite songs that I'd recorded before
and go into a 24-track studio and do them. Then I was going to call it Foo Fighters and not put my name on it and just have it be this anonymous, weird thing. I thought, wow, well, maybe I could start a band.
So have you noticed a transition between, like, taking the front, being, like, a front guy?
Yeah, people ask me questions now.
Oh, really? Hey, aren't you
Yeah, that's right. That's me. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for coming to see us play.
Seeing that first Foos tour, it was scary how fluid the transition happened.
Didn't seem fluid to me.
Really?
I was pretty freaked out. I mean, the first few practices, the first few shows, I really felt uncomfortable. I didn't want to stop. It's one of the reasons why I really did enjoy doing it. It's because it was freaky, man. Like, it was just kind of spooky. Also, it just felt good to go out and play, you know? That was a big motivating factor into the birth of this band. It was really like, man, I just want to play. I'm not done. I'm only 25. I don't want to stop playing music.
That first tour of the Foos, weird to know that there are people out there for a curiosity factor.
I totally understand, and I totally understood why there was that curiosity factor. It was insane, and that's when I kind of realized, like, wow, people are really interested in this band for reasons other than the music and the band.
And I knew that there was a lot of curiosity and whatnot, but, you know, we were trying to make a band and continue into the future and do our own thing. So I just saw it through that lens, and I had a hard time seeing it from the perspective of other people and then seeing that as something that we'd have to fight against, this idea that this wasn't a unique band. It was just sort of a fallout of something Dave had done before.
I knew when we first started that there would be a lot of questions about Nirvana or about everything that we'd done before the band. I mean, it's a big part of my past, the Nirvana thing. Even though it was such a short time, it was only 4 years, it was a huge part of my life. And it's strange to me when I meet people, you know, 10 years later that are surprised to hear that I play another instrument or that I was in another band. It's starting to happen more and more. And maybe it's a generational thing or whatever it is. It doesn't make me feel better. It doesn't make me feel worse. It just kind of surprises me because both of these things are huge pieces of my life, you know? And it's almost like there wouldn't be one without the other, you know?
But it's you.
What's it like to be in the spotlight now that Kurt Cobain is gone and Nirvana's over? Just want to know what it's like to be up front.
Well, I started playing guitar when I was like 10. So I've played guitar longer than I've played drums. And I played guitar in bands when I was like a teenager. But this is weird. It's a little strange. Playing drums is really fun because you can hide behind the drum set. Like, that's pretty fun.
You gotta have to engage with the audience as a front.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
you know,
like
you're the Pope or something. That's when it gets weird.
Did it enter your mind at all when you were looking at the lyrics on the paper? This is going to be misconstrued.
Totally. But I mean, you know, I didn't want to put out a reggae album for the sake of making it sound entirely different than the kind of music I enjoy playing, you know. So I didn't want to, I just wasn't taking anybody else into consideration, really.
You were virtually talk-free for a year about this thing, and now you're coming out now. And
well, just when we first started as a band, 2 weeks after we'd been together, people were calling to do interviews. And it was just obvious to us that they wanted to talk about Nirvana or anything but the band that we had just started. So we thought, well, that's stupid. At least let us go on one tour so we can tell them, you know, silly anecdotes and stuff like that. Every journalist wants the scoop. Every journalist wants to get the quote. And usually they don't have any respect for the person that they're interviewing. It's it's a very selfish thing. Like, I'm here to pull as much garbage out of this person as I can to make my piece the thing that everyone reads. I mean, still to this day, people ask me questions that they know I'm not about to answer. It's none of your business, you know? Give me a break. There's got to be a line drawn between your personal life and this, you know, this is all fun, being in a rock band and being on TV, it's cool and everything, but it's like going to the circus. I don't take it so seriously that I've got a bleeding heart for, it's pop music.
Were you surprised how fast the band gelled?
Well, no, actually, because the other guys in the band are really awesome. William, the drummer, is totally amazing. Nate, the bass player, is incredible. I was most concerned with feeling comfortable playing with another drummer. When I started playing with William, it was like, no big deal. It was perfect. It was fine. You know, I'd look everywhere to find a drummer that just really hit extremely hard. And so the first couple of shows, it's like, we'd play 2 songs and everything would break, and then we'd have to wait, you know, 15 minutes for him to fix stuff. And he had this nasty habit of starting songs and poking himself in the eye with this, like, he'd count in a song like 1, 2, 3, 4, and like knock himself in the head.
There's a wide range of sounds on the album. I know one of the songs that really jumped out was Weenie Beanie, just this massive sonic assault. And then you have something like Big Me, which is getting pop airplay.
Well, you gotta mix it up. You don't want to limit yourself to one thing, because it sucks to have to stick to one thing, you know? So the first record, you got a pop song, you got a fast song, you got a slow song, you got an acoustic song, you got, you know, so that the next album, everyone's open to different styles of whatever.
We're not a heavy rock band. We're not like a metal band.
Well, I wouldn't really call us a punk rock band.
We're modern rock. We're not punk rock.
We're modern. We're modern adult
Get the
contemporary.
terminology right.
What pop music is to me is just a song that has a hook that'll just grab on and will go away.
It's a challenge to write a really good pop tune. It really is. It's harder to do that than it is to write an 8-minute opus.
You've never really been ashamed of being a rock and roll band.
We don't really have a choice. You know, it's kind of what we are, so we can't really say, oh, we're ashamed of it and try to, you know, jump on the bandwagon, because then we'd be hurting.
If we can get around it, I know that it's true. Well, I talked about it, carried on, reasons only knew, but it's you.
Whenever we play, people throw Mentos at us, man, and they hurt.
Oh, even in the record store, we get Mentos thrown at us.
I actually, today on TV, I asked people not to throw them at us. Please, 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 please don't throw them at us. Yeah, man, they hurt. They're hard little candies.
I think that a lot of people can relate to a lot of the things that I'm singing about. I mean, maybe they have some personal relevance to a lot of people.
But, you know, he likes to keep it sort of open to interpretation and deliberately a little vague and just let the listener kind of figure things out, too. So it's not anything where they're supposed to be like, I'm saying this with this song and that you better understand.
All these reviews were being written, and they were getting the lyrics wrong. I didn't print the lyrics, because most of them are just so stupid. They're totally inane, just dumb. They mean nothing at all. Some of them mean something, but a lot of the stuff is really absolute nonsense. When I write lyrics, I have the song down, I have the melody down, and we're in the studio, so I'm like scribbling down things that rhyme and fit phonetically, and you know. I mean, they don't really mean anything. The first album, the lyrics were like riddles, really nonsensical, sort of just puzzles, playing with words. And it just, there was so much speculation. People were digging into lyrics, trying to find so much stuff that just wasn't there.
I'd like to present an idea to you. How about when the rock bands play, instead of beating the shit out of each other, you kind of just jump up and down and have fun. Like, that's kind of the way I like to do it myself.
All right, look. You guys got to take care of yourselves down there, okay? I don't want anyone getting hurt.
And be considerate of others. So if you see other people that have fallen down, or if you see someone that looks like they're going to faint, or if you see someone that's suffering heat exhaustion, help them out.
When we were young and going to hardcore shows and punk rock shows, it's like, that would be the audience right there. That's how many people were at the show. It was like, and everyone was friends anyway, so it was like someone falls down, you pick them up, someone, you know, whatever. Now it just seems kind of crazy, like, it's just out of control.
But at some point, I imagine it'd start to solidify.
Probably doing the second record, going in and starting something with all the band members there, and it was a fresh start, and it had been a while at that point, so it's probably about then.
The lineup changes around that time. Dave got sort of painted in a weird way as a dictator.
Yeah.
How did he take that?
That criticism of him, I mean, it was never anything that anybody in the band really felt. We were always aware of the fact that we were growing up and becoming a band with people watching. So it's just understandable that there's going to be some growing pains, I guess.
He's a brute. He's mean. He's a brute. A brute.
When I joined the band, obviously, like, I'd heard those rumors too. So I was like waiting for that person to rear its ugly head, and then it really never has. So, you know, obviously I was involved in whatever happened with the people that were in the band before me, but he's not a tyrant.
I'm the great guy.
The fact that we have a band and play music that we really love and have lives keeps you happy, man.
Monkey Wrench was a video based on a dream you had.
Right.
At Everlong also uses the concept of dreams as a theme. Is this a coincidence, or are you influenced a lot by dreams?
Well, it's a coincidence, but I think that dreams are pretty amazing. I think that if you have an active dream life, then you're set. Because in my dreams, I can tell when I'm dreaming and when I'm not dreaming. So there's some dreams where if I'm in a dream and I realize that I'm dreaming, I don't wake up, but I can do anything within my dream. So if I'm standing here and I realize that I was in a dream, I can sort of like jump up to the top of that thing and look down and make a car move with my mind or something like that.
Over my head, out of the pension
I have a different idea of masculinity, I think, than other people. I don't go to the gym, I don't bulk up, I don't beat the shit out of people.
You look like you do, though.
And no,
what's so
it's all cardio, though.
Yeah.
It's all cardio. But, you know, I think a real man takes care of his family. I think a real man has a sensitive side and doesn't have problems with having a sensitive side.
I think we're all very sensitive people because we're emotionally connected. And we're very much in touch with our femininities.
I think a real man doesn't have problems with a feminine side or understanding femininity or...
Were you raised by a single mom?
I was.
That's why you can say that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the deal, but I think it's just being secure with the person that you are. Also, it takes a big man to dress up like a woman in his videos.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. I was worried about what people thought about my masculinity.
First video I was in ever with you, I had to dress up as a woman pretty much.
See? Hazing, you know.
Yeah.
Tonight I'm tangled in my blanket of clouds.
The X-Files.
Yeah.
You're on the soundtrack, the original TV series soundtrack. How does something like that work? You just get a call?
It started out about 3 years ago when the band started up, and we're called Foo Fighters, and Foo Fighters is a slang term for UFOs, and we're on Roswell Records, which is Roswell, New Mexico, the famous site of the 1947 UFO crash and all this stuff. And we were huge fans of the show, and they were doing the soundtrack for the TV show, and they asked if we wanted to submit something. So we did a cover of a Gary Newman song, which was kind of cool, and we gave it to them. And then this time, when the movie came around, they said, you know, do you guys want to be on the movie thing? We're like, yeah, sure. So we did another version of a song that's on our record and just gave it to them. It's real simple. It's real easy.
You're forgetting your famous cameo. You bypassed that whole cameo.
Okay, ready? Let's set camera. This was my cameo on the X-Files. Ready?
People try to put you up on a pedestal and they try and paint you as a celebrity. And as much as people are trying to build up this thing, you're more about the anti that.
Most musicians have had a love of music their whole life and would listen to and play music, whether it was in the basement or at the Superdome down the street, you know? But then there's some musicians that really ache to be stars, rock stars, you know? And usually when they become rock stars, they make the best rock stars in the world. You know, they're perfect. They're like superheroes, and they do crazy shit. You live in a mansion, and you marry a model, and you're an asshole. If you really come from a place where you have an obsessive, compulsive desire to play music, and that's your main intention and your main focus, that's kind of like the healthiest way to go.
Celebrities and glamour and ugh. I think it's disgusting.
The rock star aspirations. There usually seem to be kind of fairly insecure people looking to fill some sort of hole or void that probably will inevitably never be filled.
It's so great and so flattering to be appreciated by a lot of people and have the opportunity to do something like come and talk to a huge TV station about your new record that you made in this studio that you built by yourself and blah, blah, blah. And, like, it's really great. But at the end of the day, music should be its own reward. Music should be its own reward, whether you're doing it in this situation or you're doing it on stage or in your pal's basement. If that's not enough, don't do it.
Give me a carton of Marlboro.
F you, man. I was in Nirvana. You asshole. Don't you know who I am?
I'm a millionaire.